We are looking at a time when social and emotional learning is so important. And also the whole idea of being culturally responsive. Our classrooms are increasingly more diverse and more, we have to pay more attention to all the rich, wonderful, diverse things that are going on in our classrooms. And so it seems like in a certain way, it's another, what happens is, and I'm sure over 30 years you've seen this, what happens is the habits of mind are classic, but they are very adaptive to any changes in the social environment. So talk a little bit about how you see that in terms of culturally responsive, social and emotional learning. What's happening right now that the habits of mind are making a rich connection and adaptation with?
I think that for our school, I think the expectations have been raised for the students through habits of mind. I think they're expected to do more, expected to accomplish more. It is a positive, nurturing place where I can do this. And we're not just saying, you can do this. Do you understand? We're asking, what questions might you have? We're asking them to pose questions. We're listening to them with empathy and understanding. So I think the way that we've transitioned away from being the purveyors of all that knowledge and that content has allowed our students to consider different intellectual ideas. And so I think that's where the strength of it has happened. When I first began at Waikiki School, it was very tiny, and we had a lot of Asian students, but now we have students from all over the world. We have from Italy, family from Switzerland. And so no matter what happens, the culture of the classroom bubbles up into the habits of mind. And there's always that vehicle of the habits of mind that levels the playing field, but also brings the expectations higher for each and every child, and I think that is really an important piece. The other piece for me is how people learn. And again, I mentioned the brain again, because my son is into neuroscience and that's been his whole thing. And so the brain is looking for connectivity. So no matter what ethnic diversity you have, they're looking for that connectivity to each other and to the content. And I think the thread that goes through with habits of mind is exactly that. It's that connectivity. From that connection, then the depth begins, the expectations begin. I think it was 3 years after we started Habits of Mind, we surveyed our students to see how our teaching had changed. And one of the things the students said really made me laugh. They said, school is a lot harder. You have to think a lot more because the teachers aren't giving you just one answer. And so I think that we're challenging our students to be the best they can. So no matter what is going on at school, no matter who you have walking through that door, you problem solve it and you think about their needs, because that's really why we're there. We're there for all students. And so Habits of Mind helps us to reach them and helps them to reach their goals of being part of something bigger than just themselves.
Now, there are people who are using character education or something called pride. How does it fit so that you don't have like lots of different acronyms, but that, you're kind of, how do you put all that together with the habits of mind, or do you not?
Well, you're talking to someone who doesn't believe in having a program. I don't believe in having a program for social emotional learning. I believe in having a process rather than a program. And I think if you have a program, such as pride, which I'm not really familiar with, Benna, truthfully. I think what you have a program, a way of looking at it and step by step, whereas habits of mind is more an intellectual pursuit and more of a process that continues through your life. So it's, to me, if you're using a program such as pride, your students will begin integrating habits of mind into any program that you bring to the forefront. They'll find it. For instance, if you're reading a book to your students and you're saying, I wonder what habits of mind are here, the students will pretty much be able to tell you what habits of mind, and they can connect that with, well, how does that connect with pride? So I just believe in mostly a process rather than that kind of a product for that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, thank you, because I knew that Waikiki did not have such things, but I also thought that people who are first coming into habits of mind may be coming in with something that they already had as a program, as you said. And so their question is, how many things can we manage? But I think what you've described is what I would have anticipated you might say, which is the driver is the process.
Yes.
And that, in fact, there are product-oriented programs. Each one means something, just as like character education, where it's about respect and about honesty, all of which are very well served by the processes that are and behaviors that are promoted in the habits of mind. So for people who are trying to make that connection and bring that about for their schools, it doesn't have to be an abrupt, we'll either do this or this, but it can be something. So you used in the very beginning of our talk together, you used the metaphor of tapestry. And I think that's what we would end with, which is that habits of mind really does create a tapestry for all the things that you're doing in the school, as it was with Waikiki. So thank you so much for being able to talk with us.
It's my pleasure, Benna. Thanks for having me.